Good morning, everyone. It's 10:30. We are starting our panel session, and I'm happy to invite you to our cluster organization presentation. We are representing clusters here. My name is Marek Przor. I'm responsible for development of cluster policy in the European Commission. For last 20 years in the Commission, working on entrepreneurship, SMEs, innovation. I have the pleasure to lead this in the EU. And here in particular, I'm very happy to have practitioners on stage. We are not going to talk about theory, just to show how important clusters and how useful clusters can be in particular energy transformation, energy transition, and digital transition. Slide, please. We have 5 panelists. Lukas Nigel, who is actually the person who is responsible for the flagship project for clusters in Germany, Go Clusters. And as well we have representatives from clusters in Germany, Christoph Frenkel, who is from Thüringer, from Erfurt, who is responsible for actually developing very much the renewable energies in Germany, particularly in this part of Europe. And then we have Frederick Wewetzer, who is as well developing particularly hydrogen and fuel cells in the cluster in Saxony, in Chemnitz, am I right? And then we have, so here is part of German clusters. We want to show how German clusters contribute to the energy transition. And then we go broader to European scene, and we have Johann Wasberg, actually from one of very strongest, one of most, the strongest clusters in energy in Europe, Vasa cluster from Finland. And then we have Sophie, who represent the Eurocluster Dreams, but as well she's from Belgium, representing also the cluster working on advanced materials. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for having the opportunity to with us to share your experience. Shortly, next slide, please. Not everyone knows what the clusters are. I was walking and some people asked me what clusters are. So the ones who don't know, it's actually the economic phenomenon which was developed for ages. People always have tendency to come together and work together. It started as well with industrial districts in Italy. Then Michael Porter actually made it popular in the 90s. And we are continuing this. So in Europe, if you are in the cluster, actually you have all benefits of working with the others, having faster knowledge about what is happening on the market, what kind of technology developments are. You can have support. In Europe, and next slide please. In Europe we have actually 3,000 nodes of this concentration, agglomeration of businesses and related actors across EU. You know, the most famous in the world is of course Silicon Valley, but in Europe we have as well Silicon Saxony, which is and will be probably Silicon Valley of Europe. We have 1,500 cluster organizations in each such cluster, such geographical concentration. There is organization which is facilitating the collaboration, facilitating the support, and we have 1,500 on so-called European Cluster Collaboration Platform. The European Cluster Collaboration Platform is our EU website window to facilitate collaboration between different clusters in Europe, all across sectors, all across industrial ecosystems. So I invite you to go on this website, Cluster Collaboration. Through this cluster collaboration, we are offering services of the type of matchmaking, of Situ Lab, where we coach how to prepare projects. When we organize events with the cluster policies from different regions, so that clusters are helping implementing EU policies, and at the same time EU policy makers can use clusters for example, energy transformation. So I keep this for a moment because this is something that you can go on the website, and this is the tool which actually makes people work closer. So if you are talking about EU and we are talking about EU integration, this is the core of our business, EU integration. And we are the ones who are doing this. So happy to have you here. And then we are today in the context of energy transition. And of course, let me just recall, we have the Green Deal and Green Industrial Transition Plan. We have, there are 4 main pillars of this. One is to enlighten the regulatory framework, to have faster uptake of renewable solutions. We have access to finance to be facilitated easier, to access to skills, and as well to ensure that we have global partners who can reliable, who can give us energy. So with all this, particularly we will focus today on energy transformation. There is one regulation or package which you might have heard of, Net Zero Act, the ones which is about having a particular boost for developing renewable energies. In the annex of this, there are 8 actually technologies mentioned. One of them is hydrogen, but of course solar, wind, geothermal, and for others. There's also as well a Raw Materials Act. I'm mentioning this because they are very crucial. They will change very positively the whole framework for having the access to raw materials and the access to the boost for green technology development. Having said so, I would like, we have the Europe, and in Europe is Germany, and in Germany we have as well hundreds of clusters, but on your platform we have 73. But I think, Lukas, you can share with us what is the cluster policy in Germany and something about your program. So we can change the slides, please.
So test. Okay. Yeah, Marek, thank you very much. At first, I would like to say that for the invitation, it's always a pleasure to be here, to have the chance to present the German cluster policy aspect and to get together with so many interesting people all around the topics of clusters and cluster policy. So thank you very much for having us here. Before I go into detail, you already introduced me. My name is Lukas Nögel. I'm working for VDE, Innovation and Technology. I'm a consultant, and we are implementing the Go Cluster program on behalf of the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Action. So we discussed in advance what would be an interesting topic, and I would like to share some thoughts about clusters of being an instrument, or cluster policy of being an instrument to support the transformation of the energy sector, which is the main topic also of the whole event here, so to say. And I would like to start with a quote. As I said, my words will mainly deal with the activities the BMWK, so the Federal Ministry, is doing to support the companies, mainly in Germany. So we have the great task of our time to turn the social market economy into an ecological social market economy, as Mr. Habeck said, and this already shows that the BMWK is really active at supporting the German industry in doing so. So we have a multi-dimensional transformation. Just some buzzwords, of course, but to set the scene, why the BMWK is active here. So we have, of course, the digitalization, decarbonization, and demographic change. So multi-dimensional transformational aspects here, which the government has to react to. So The ministry does that by supporting the German industry with various instruments with a special focus on SMEs, because the big companies, I mean, as you also see here in Hannover, they can do a lot on their own, but especially the SMEs need a lot of support in bringing this process to a positive end. And here comes the role of clusters into play. As I said, cluster policy is one main instrument I would like to focus on today. Why supporting cluster organizations? I mean, you can ask that. Marek gave us some insights how many clusters we have in Europe. I can add some figures from the German cluster platform. There we have all in all nearly 500 clusters and networks as well in Germany, but with different levels. And as Marek also said, we, as the program Go Cluster, try to bring the most excellent ones together and to support them. But to start a bit earlier, so why cluster policy? Why are they important? In our view and in the view of the ministry, they play a really important role in overcoming these challenges. Some ideas here that they really experience the transformation on a daily basis and have a daily dialogue with their members and a really strong connection with the regional actors, so the regional companies, especially SMEs, but also focusing of course on the linkage between the SMEs and the local science, which is oftentimes one aspect that fails in the innovation process. So they have a strong work or a strong job to do here, and as a result of their activities they have oftentimes radiance from their regions to other federal states and beyond, and also international cooperation is a very important topic here. But these were only some thoughts introducing why the policy, economic policy, is supporting clusters in general, and in the following slides I will go into detail what the Go Cluster program specifically does. So as I said, the Go Cluster program is the cluster policy excellence program of the federal ministry. So it supports the management organizations within their development. We have different tools to do that. I won't go too much into detail, but we have experience since 2012. So it's a program that's running since over 10 years by now. It's in its third phase, and VDI, VDE, so my company is implementing the program on behalf of the federal ministry. Marek dropped that number, so we have 72 members. The idea is to have a platform within Germany to bring the most excellent clusters together. So within the program we combine or bring together these 72 cluster management teams especially, so that's our main target group we are working for or working with, but they combine all in all more than or nearly 15,000 cluster actors and especially more than 10,000 SMEs. So this is an instrument where especially SMEs can be addressed by economic policy. And what do we do? I think we don't have the time to go too much into detail, but I picked out some related activities that are important, especially for the energy transformation that we are doing. So we have different yearly or annual topics within the program where we organize our activities around, so to say. And this year, the demand for skilled labor is our Go Cluster key topic for the year. So why is that important for the energy transformation? We noticed that in industries that go through transformation processes, of course, skilled labor has to be reskilled, to be upskilled. There is skilled labor that may not be needed anymore and has to find new challenges. All these activities are in general really important for the major challenges of our time, as it's written on the slides, and we see that cluster organizations play a really active role here. So they support the local companies by undergoing these processes, and they implement own activities to support that. So what do? We have the topic as a leading topic. So we organize moderated talks with experts. We organize the exchange of good practice examples, and we organize further trainings. So our main topic is the knowledge transfer between different projects or different cluster organizations in order to organize new services for SMEs and for the companies. Visibility is also one major topic that we address. So as said before, we run the Cluster Platform Germany, where we have 480 cluster organizations listed. We collect news, we work on publications. I already mentioned that the program is 10 years old or more than 10 years old, so we have a publication on the website as well, where you can find more detailed information about the program. But we also have publications with specific topics like decarbonization, like energy transformation, where we put in the window the best cases of German cluster organizations for others in order to learn or to find cooperation partners to get ideas for own activities. So knowledge transformation, transfer mechanisms are one really important aspect of the Go Cluster program. And in addition, we also have on a regular basis funding calls in place that are only available for the members of the program. I already said we have more than 70 members. In order to become a member, you have to go through a process where some criteria are checked. Also according to the criteria of the European Secretariat for Cluster Analysis, as I see some members or some partners here from there. So eligibility, or you only get funded when you're a member of the program. And we had a call where projects up to 100,000 euros were funded with different topics of the funding. So mainly the purpose of the funding is to develop new services, new activities within the cluster management teams. And I bring this related to the topic today because we also had some examples that are really addressing the topic of transformation processes, energy transformation, and so on. But since we have some members of the program, of the Go Cluster program here, I dropped the slides where I went into detail what the projects are about. I think the other speakers will be able to do that much more in detail afterwards. So, but this is on a regular basis. We also fund direct projects within the Go Cluster program. So already coming to my last slides, I would like to end with further activities the BMWK is implementing to support networks and cluster organizations in Germany. So one of the biggest funding programs is the ZIM project, so the Central Innovation Program Mittelstand for SMEs especially. And this one has, or the ZIM program has different areas, so to say, and one aspect is the ZIM Innovation Network. So here, the funding of management of innovation, innovative company networks and R&D projects is funded also by the ministry. So here we speak more about building up of new newly started networks, in contrast to Go Cluster, which addresses networks that have already a certain age and certain status. For more information and also for international cooperation, you can check out the website here, because also international networks are financed within that funding scheme. And already coming to my last slide, one big call the BMW placed 2 years ago was financed within the Automotive Industry Future Fund. So the BMWK finances regional transformation networks So closely connected, not really direct clusters, but really closely connected, but we can discuss that later on in detail. I just would like to mention some numbers, because at the moment 75 transformation networks within the transformation process of the automotive industry in Germany are funded with nearly 140 million euros. So these are really high investments that are being made by the ministry in order to support the transformation process via network initiatives, via the building up of networks and clusters. Yes, so there was a short overview about the German cluster and network policy and how it supports the transformation of the industry and the transformation of the energy sector. And I'm happy for some questions or later on for the discussion. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Lucas, thank you very much. We will have a question, but I will ask for new presentation already for Frederick. In the meantime, because it takes time, please.
Hello, this is. Hello. Hello, hi. It was a very good presentation. This is Sudha from India. I wanted to ask, is there the funding, is it country specific? Is it country specific, or are you doing around the world basis the attributes of the project?
Yes, so the funding I talked about, it's country specific. It's from the German Federal Ministry and for German projects mainly. But as I said, the CIM project, for example, there are also international cooperation projects funded. And I know that also in Germany at the Ministry for Education and Research, there also have been funded international cooperation projects. But I think the call is not open at the moment. So yeah, I would say it like this, the federal ministries in Germany, they focus on German initiation of projects or the cross-clustering of German organizations. And for the international level, I think we have with Marek or the Commission the right persons here as well. So it is possible in some cases in Germany, but I would say international calls are for the European level then more interesting.
Yeah, maybe I can complete on this, because we in the European Cluster Collaboration Platform are organizing international matchmakings. So our clusters are going to another country outside EU, or the other cluster members or other equivalent in other countries are coming to EU to meet our clusters and do matchmaking. In June we will have this exchange with Taiwan, actually in Berlin, in Germany. We will have as well with Singapore, and we are thinking about India as well to have next year. So we can come later to discuss it. Thank you for the question. Are there any other questions to see how German cluster landscape is organized?
Can
you
I
have
ask
question?
one?
Okay.
Who's the state who isn't part of the cluster initiative? Because you mentioned there are only 15.
Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, I think, is.
So we have to take care of them.
We have them, and
Thank
we
you.
watch them. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you how you actively approach the potential members. Okay, I think we move on now, and then we can still discuss a bit about German clusters to concrete cases and Saxony. Actually, I have my personal feeling about Saxony, because this is Saxony and this is Thuringen. Yeah, but Thuringen and Saxony you are close to each other, because this is the area which is starting to very much dynamically developing future industries, and not future anymore. When I started to work in the Commission 20 years ago, I was working exactly on sustainable industrial policy. And we were talking at that time about development, wind energy, solar energy, geothermal, as a future industry. It's not future anymore. It is happening right now. 40% of electricity in the EU is produced from renewable energy. I have data here. over 120 billion is the value of EU's net zero startup ecosystem. So all this working on reducing CO2 emissions. It's growing up. More than 400 gigawatt of wind and solar renewable energy production capacity in the EU is there already, and around 6 million jobs already in green tech. So I think you are part of this very much. So if you can, and then you are working very dynamically in order to make it happen. I give you the floor, please. Show us the case.
Yeah, thank you very much for your introduction. My name is Christoph Frenkel. I'm Deputy Managing Director from TEN. TEN stands for the German abbreviation for Thuringian Renewable Energy Network. I'm there working as a Deputy Managing Director, and I want to present you a brief presentation of our network, what we are doing and how we are organized in the network system. So first of all, we consist of different members, most of them companies, 80%, around about that. 60 of all our members are SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises, and of course we have all important universities and R&D institutions located in Thuringia in our network, coming from the clean tech sector. Clean tech sector in Thuringia is pretty important. We have more than 1,000 companies working in one or another one area of clean tech. It's about 2 billion euros turnover covering that. Our main goals are the decentral energy supply, based, of course, 100% of renewable energies. And now, coming from renewable energies, we pay a lot more of attention to the decarbonization of energy supply in the energy systems. We are covering not only renewable energies, of course, as well, all new areas like sector coupling, energy storage, digitalization, as an example. As a network, we cover all services already mentioned before, for sure. We are pretty well interacting with actors not only in Thuringia as well in Germany, the European Union, and worldwide. We have a big benefit of the Go Cluster program. Thank you very much for all we had in the last years, and hopefully we go ahead with that. The Go Cluster Excellence Program supports us in the developing of our services and, of course, giving us very good connections to new actors, to new institutions, other networks, maybe not directly working in clean tech area, but giving us good examples to, for our structure, for our organization. So what we are doing is basically working with renewable energies, energy storage, hydrogen as well, not mentioned here directly, but a pretty important topic right now, energy efficiency, transformer technology, sector coupling, for example. We do not look only on specific entities, we increase as well the boundary of the system we look on. So specific industries, companies, but also industry clusters, because there are many synergies we want to use, which is pretty important and interesting as well. We look as well on neighborhoods, city quarters, or even regions in the Thuringia or the entire state of Thuringia. Our biggest projects we had and we have right now is, for example, Great H2, working with the use of hydrogen in applications, in industrial applications. The Zorro project, coming from the Spanish hero, looking in individual companies, what could be their future energy supply. Smooth, focusing on smart neighborhood, especially focus on geothermal energy and the planning stages of new projects. And last but not least, the stakeholder process, We had last 6 months, and hopefully we go ahead in the next months, next years with that theme, where we worked on the integrated grid planning, not working every entity for itself, but better to combine the positions of everybody to increase and to accelerate the renewable energies and of course the grid of all sectors. So to give a little bit better look on our research projects, most of them we are working directly with some scientific questions. In others we are supporting the projects. The projects are normally done by our members, but always we have some key players outside our network. There's first the Zorro project, where we want to develop the future energy supply in companies, analyze the situations they have right now, and using especially 3 tools. First one is improving the information in the company by installing a measuring technology. Using this data we gain to simulate the future energy supply and to identify and to compare different scenarios, how they could, in a very economical way, organize their energy supply. And last but not least, for all companies, the carbon footprint is pretty important. Grade H2, the second one, is focused on 2 topics. First one was, of course, the use of green hydrogen in industrial applications. That's where the name comes from. And what we looked there as well was to not only a specific company, looking as well in a cross-company approach on the use of hydrogen and other energy sources as well. Smooth, as I said, I will not add something else here at this point. And the network process, we organized 21 meetings in the last months, including not only the industry from the energy sector, but also administration, public actors, to improve and to accelerate the installation of renewable energies and what right now is pretty important, the development of the grid for electricity, for hydrogen and for the heat theme as well. So we follow in general 3 main pillars. All our services are oriented to these 3 approaches. We have the holistic approach, not only looking on one sector, not only electricity, always integrate the other sectors as well. Not only technology, looking as well in sources and so on. As I said, the cross-company approach to use the synergies between different companies. You can imagine to share investments in energy infrastructure is a big benefit for everybody in this cross-border approach. And last but not least, the interdisciplinary approach. We are not speaking only about technology. Right now, pretty important are social aspects as well. So we include administration authorities and municipalities as well to have a different perspective on this now huge challenges the energy transition address. So I want to conclude my brief presentation with 2 points. Energy transition needs a lot of know-how transfer, communication, information exchange. The integrated energy transition is pretty complex, so nobody can know everything. It's very important to organize know-how transfer, not only for professionals as well the public needs information to avoid fake news, you know, this problem we had. But on the other hand, that's my second point I want to highlight, is energy transition offers a lot of opportunities, chances as well. There are new markets, new room for innovations, new products, new business models. So this needs partnerships, this needs as well know-how transfer, but could be for the companies and even the scientific organizations, research institutions, a big chance as well. So I hope this was a good introduction what we do in Thuringia. Thank you very much, and I don't know, you want to offer room for questions right now or later?
Yeah, we will take the second presentation on hydrogen actually, because this is another example of concrete actions of the clusters. But before, I would like to stress that this is a big political willingness and as well consensus in Europe between industry and the politicians and the policy makers on going for industrial clusters, particularly in clean tech. And I want to cite, we have something like communications. These are the policy documents which then later always are translated into either regulations, directive or something. So we had a dialogue with industry on clean transition for greener Europe to take, and then they are saying something that US clusters would be very interested. I will quote: "To master the transition, industry called for the creation of industrial clusters, such as hydrogen valleys and net zero acceleration valleys, that connect the largest manufacturing facilities and hubs with zero and low carbon generation plants, hydrogen and renewable and low carbon fuels producing facilities, or carbon capture, storage, transport and utilization infrastructure. Clustering industrial activity in line with EU competition rules could help suppliers of net zero technologies and renewable energy to scale up their operations and improve their commercial viability by supplying several industrial off-takers with a cluster." So it's a clear indication that we will develop clusters, and particularly clusters where have the incorporate in the activities already the renewable energy, net zero energy activities, so that it's integrated. So if you are creating industry park, it's already should be there. Huh? Something that it's quite ensuring for the long-term development and for business. I think we will have a question after, but now let me go to hydrogen, which is extremely fascinating area. Frederick, please.
Thank you. Yeah, I will try my best. And now that I see my slide, I may have added to the title European Hydrogen Industry Association by fault or by a mistake, because it wasn't planned that way, to be honest. The name H2 is a East German slang word of saying H2, which was meant as a funny joke to give a shout out to where we are from. But now that we are an European association, no one gets the joke anymore. It's getting international. But yeah, it is how it is. Anyhow, I thought that I don't want to focus that much on the association itself, but rather tell you the story of how I got here, because it is apparently really closely connected to the association itself. Back in the day, I think it was 2018, which feels like yesterday, but actually was 6 years ago. I was working for one of the companies that you see on the slide, for an automotive supplier down in the south of Saxony. We were producing mostly parts for internal combustion engines. And my colleagues, they were thinking about, maybe that's not a good market to stay in for the future. We need new products, we need new markets. And it was really a great coincidence that one of my back then not yet colleagues from H2 e.V., which is located in Chemnitz, so in that area, was approaching the company, and they were asking, "Hey guys, we want to initiate a R&D project which we think is quite suitable for the products that you already produce. are you interested to join that project? And of course we said yes. And I took the project lead for the company. And yeah, we were working on basically the clamping system for a fuel cell stack. And when we started to write the documents and to figure out how to approach the project, we were finding out that it is not that easy to get information about how you actually build this clamping system, because of course you need a package, you need forces, you need just data to develop your product around, and even due to the fact that huge manufacturers of fuel cell stacks were long-time customers for the company in other sectors, of course, but still it was the same company. They didn't want to provide us with that information. So we sat at our desk and we're like, we want to develop something for a fuel cell stack, but we don't have one and we don't know the key facts about it. So how should we do that? And luckily, the H2 e.V. was able to provide us with a platform to do exactly that. You can see it on the slide. Those are our main cluster projects, and one really important one is are those open source platforms. So the H2 e.V. together with the Technical University of Chemnitz developed a fuel cell stack. It's a small one, but it is working and we can manufacture it ourselves. And we give it as an open source platform to our member companies to build their projects around it and to have something to validate the developed products and so on. So this really saved our project because then we had the fuel cell stack, we had something to develop and could of course in close connection with the university develop the project. And the happy ending of the story is that now the company I was working for is still supplying those clamping systems to fuel cell stack OEMs. You can see some other projects that we are doing. You mentioned the transformation hubs earlier in your presentation. We actually are one of those, especially for the automotive supplier industry. And we also focus on hydrogen use in our region. That's pretty close to the stuff that you do when it comes to the grid planning and so on. So we get together the companies and try to help them to secure their energy supply from 2045 and onwards. But back to the story. So the open source stack is here. I have it at my booth over there in Hall 13. And we are going to use it further. Actually, right now we are planning a new funding on R&D project in the ZIM network that was presented earlier. We want to build an international project consortia for the use of mobile machinery with hydrogen applications. So if that's something that might be interesting for your company, don't hesitate to contact me. We already have interested partners from the Czech Republic, from Poland, and of course from Germany. So I think this is going to be a great opportunity to develop the technology further and to open up new markets for the technology, basically. And as you can see, we are also working on developing this kind of small fuel cell stack to a bigger one with 150 square centimeters of active area. So we are getting to the dimensions that are actually suitable to power vehicles. And of course, for the project I just mentioned, this open source stack will again be the center of our activities. Another thing that I want to mention here in this short period of time is the National Hydrogen Innovation Center that we are going to build in Chemnitz. This is a funded project by the Ministry of Transport in Germany. And the idea again is to support SMEs in their development of new products and new markets. And our approach here is that we want to provide those test benches, those testing systems that as of now only the big players, the stack OEMs have. We want to give smaller companies the access to those testing areas, because as of now, in my opinion, the whole hydrogen mobility sector is in kind of a problematic situation, because the stack OEMs, they want products where they are 100% sure that they work, because they cannot risk something going wrong in the use. That would be a really showstopper for the technology. But on the other hand, as I told you in my introduction, they don't really want to give out the data and information to those smaller companies. So together with our open source platforms and those testing facilities, we will be able to provide kind of a certificate to the suppliers which they can then use and go to the stack OEM or whoever and show them, hey, we have developed a product and we have tested it in Chemnitz, it worked there, so it pretty much is sure that it will work in your system as well. And of course, this is going to be a huge boost for the whole area. In Chemnitz, we have quite a lot of space, and the prices for areas there are not that high. So working closely together with the city to develop a whole H2 campus with our technology center as the nucleus, and then we want to settle some companies there. So if you're planning and expanding your businesses and looking for new playgrounds, feel free to contact me here as well. I think we will find a solution. Give me just two quick slides and 2 invitations to, if you want to see the stuff yourself, feel free to join me at booth 46 over there, B46 in Hall 13, or visit me in Chemnitz. We do a lot of conferences. This one is going to take part in June. It's going to be free since it's we do it with our transformation hub. So we're going to provide test drives with hydrogen cars. We're going to have a huge technology exhibition, and of course also a conference. And our more, let's say, scientific conference is the FC3, which is going to take part in November. So if you're already deep into hydrogen and you have a project, a scientific project that you want to present there, just check the link, Google for FC3 and submit your abstract. I think we will be able to find a space for you in the speaker list. So that's it for now from my side. Thank you very much for your attention. And I'm happy to discuss those topics with you.
Well, thank you, Frederick. I think we had now a possibility to see how the cluster landscape looks like in Germany, and as well 2 concrete cases of energy transformation added value of clusters. I would, before we go to the more European dimension, I would like to open the discussion on the German cluster support for energy transformation. If you have any questions, then I invite you. I have one question which is already coming when I saw that you are from neighboring lenders, actually. How is the collaboration between clusters, which is renewable energy and hydrogen, going in terms of exchange of information, exchange of technologies, building the scope and scale, which goes bigger in Germany and then maybe in Europe? Meaning, how do you collaborate with each other?
That's an excellent question, and to be honest, it is kind of hard to keep track of all those clusters, even in the hydrogen sector, because there are so many, which on the one hand shows the need, of course, because it is a huge transition, but as you said, you have to find synergies to have an effective process there. So our approach is that we are always open for collaboration with other clusters. We are focusing mainly on our neighbors, like Thuringia, Bavaria, the Czech Republic, or Poland. And the way we do it normally is that we invite them to the events that we are hosting, give them speaker slots in our conferences, so that they are kind of the scouts for their members. And then we try and find topics that are suitable for collaboration, and then we bring in universities. Because I think universities and in general scientific institutions are a great way to initiate projects. So we bring in university from both sides or from 3 sides, depends on how the situation is. We kind of develop an idea of which kind of topic we want to tackle, and then everybody goes back to their own network and searches for companies to fit into the project. And that's the way that we did it since the beginning in 2017. I think we went quite well with that, and I think that's the way we're going to do it in the future as well.
Christoph?
Maybe, I want to add some information to this. So, you are looking especially on the hydrogen. We are looking on the energy transition as an entire systems. So we are in good connection to our networks in Germany, working on this in this area. and at least one time a year we have a meeting all together, organized normally by the network from Hessen, the House of Energy, where we discuss the current topics and what our plans for the future, what we want to do next, and what are the strategies to address the challenges and maybe opportunities as well. And we have as well on the second hand a very intense collaboration with other networks in Thuringia, because we are covering an interdisciplinary area with energy transition. Other networks working on, for example, plastics or the electronical and mechanical engineering, having industries, companies, and other actors in their networks. So we have, I would say, all the 2 weeks or maybe once a month, and exchange what's going on. We share information of new events. We organize normally once a year a combination of different events in 1 week, so the companies in Thuringia can share the conference from others as well. So there's a pretty good collaboration, but of course could be improved, and we are working always on that. And it would be pretty interesting as well to improve the interaction with European networks, I would say, because there are other perspectives on the challenges and other opportunities which could be pretty interesting for us as well, not looking only on the markets and products and this network structure and organizations as well.
Thank you for the question was actually that the message is that you are open organizations, and actually the more we are, the better for competition and collaboration. So clusters are actually competition and collaboration in one, and I think with this one I would go to the international part. I mean, international, not for us international, for some countries it's international, on Finland and Belgium, because referring to hydrogen, we have an overview actually of many hydrogen initiatives across Europe happening right now, in Belarus, in northern Netherlands, in Baltics exactly. So I think this could be a good point then for discussion, how we can connect it at the EU level, this all work, so that we have the scale and scope to be globally competitive. Johan, please tell us what is happening in the Baltics and what is happening in Finland on this.
Thank you. Good to be here, and with some views from Northern Europe. I come from the energy cluster in Vaasa. I have worked there since prehistoric times, which means 27 years with the energy companies. And I will give my views on what the cluster can do to speed up the energy transition. We now have more daylight than in the picture, so spring was coming, but the other day we got 10 centimeters of snow, so we still have skiing conditions. Okay, Vaasa is located there in western Finland. Sometimes I get the question, how come you have such a big energy cluster in Vaasa? And then, as you can see, this is as far as you can get from our eastern border with our lovely neighbors. And also it's distance to the capital in Helsinki. And borders are a bit flexible, so this border has been flexible the last 1,000 years, and it's not a good idea to build a factory next to the border because it may end up on the wrong side, as we have recent experiences. We are a coastal region with good connections, bilingual. Many people have emigrated and come back with ideas from US and Sweden, also Germany. So this is like the kind of bit of history of our cluster. Hannover is somewhere down in the picture. So our cluster, in short, we have 180 companies. We work with all, but mainly with 65 core members, and we are owned by these core members. We are a limited non-profit management organizations for the cluster. Cluster turnover 6 billion. It has grown in 12 years from 4 billions, so it grows faster than the inflation. Over 80% exported, 13,000 employees, R&D spendings to 250 millions a year. It's on video available if you want to look more at the cluster. So the topic of today, what can clusters do? Looking back during all these years and work with clusters, and I have grouped it into 3 categories. What can we do to speed up the technology development? How can we make the technology meet the investors? And how can we speed up the actual investments? So then, first of all, we can, as a cluster, initiate technology programs. Our members were not happy with the present technology programs at national level. They came to us and said, we have projects, but there are no programs. So we collected a research project portfolio, went to the capital in Helsinki a couple of times with the companies and said, we need a research program for these projects. And the people listened, so they initiated a distributed energy generation program. And coincidentally, after a tendering process, our cluster also ended up coordinating this program. So, but it is we don't have to be like passive receivers of programs. We can also, as a cluster, initiate things with the authorities and the stakeholders. New research infra, very important. If we want the best products, we need the best brains, and to produce these and train these, we need the best research infrastructure. So we have worked quite a lot with collecting funds for energy laboratories. We have managed to, during these 20 years, make, I would say, 3 very successful laboratories, and some of our members, they say that we are here because of your laboratories. And these can be used for development, they can be used for training, education, and some companies use them also to train their customers in using the latest one was a smart grid communication laboratory. And of course, standard activity of most cluster is collaborative research actions with the members and other companies in Europe and elsewhere. Cluster work is teamwork. It's a matter of collecting the stakeholders and do things bigger and better than we could otherwise do. So we started the Digitalization Academy for the SMEs, and it's much better to jointly learn and what does digitalization mean in my company, how can I improve my production or our practices. We also had quite a large 3D printing project. So again, it's better to do things, it's better to have a bigger and better 3D printer than 50 small ones. So acceleration of startups is quite interesting. Traditionally, big companies, they have not been interested in startups. When I talked to big companies 10 years ago about startups, they said, not interested. If they ever produce anything, we will buy that or we will buy the startup. But now things have changed that it goes so fast. So big companies are afraid of startups. They may put them out of business overnight. Some bright student somewhere comes up with a new solution. So we managed to 5 years collect private funding, 200,000 per year for a startup acceleration program. So we invited globally startups in the energy sector. I think we got between all years between 100 to 200 applications, screened them, and when finally 10 were selected to the Energy Spin program, and then they were also then met the big companies, and some joint ventures were established and so on. So that was quite interesting. We have two big companies, ABB and Wärtsilä. ABB 45,000 employees globally, Wärtsilä 20,000, and they work, as I call them, nurseries. People work in the big companies, and then when they become middle-aged, they see an opportunity, or they don't like their boss so much, so they start their own company. And we have had these let's say half a dozen very successful spin-offs, which has then grown to almost global companies, and a few of them have been sold to the Japanese, to the French, to other, and that has brought in, I would say, 1.52 billions of funds to the local environment, to the owners of those who sold their companies. One frequency converter company was sold for 1 billion to the Danish Danfoss. So these people, they formed a regional investment fund and invest in startups in the energy and especially electricity sector. And I think this is, we were as a cluster thinking of forming a regional investment fund, but it was done by now these private actors. So it is very good, because now the banks, they have messed up things so many times that they are very careful these days, and they have all these Basel rules. So you need to have 1 million on your account to borrow 10,000 basically. So they are, and they don't know much about technology, but these regional investment fund people, they know about the technologies. They have I think they have 300 millions now in the fund. So this is very important for, let's say, the regeneration of the cluster. We have had a growing cluster, and 20 years ago, no private actor wanted to build the factories and premises. So our board president became a bit angry and said, let's do it ourselves. So we formed a property development subsidiary company with the investment fund and the city. And so now we have today built, I think, around 10, 12 new factories or building. And the cluster company want this neutral company to build. Even they don't want to build themselves. They want it, and then they can buy it from or they can rent it. So this has been quite interesting, and I think it's with growing cluster, this is an opportunity also for the clusters to go into this. Okay, next. How can we make technology meet investors? I think Hannover Messe is doing this. It's like a melting pot for people meeting, and to start with, we made a cluster company catalog, but then companies from all over the country wanted to join. So now it's called the Finland Cleantech Catalog, and it includes now 120 companies, and the format is interesting. It has quite interesting format for presenting the companies, have good feedback, and we will update it and make it better. Then we need events, visible events like the Hannover Messe. We used to have 4 or 5 seminars every year. I used to say pretty shitty small seminars. Nobody really noticed them. But then one clever guy said, let's put them together and make an energy week. And that was a very, very good move, because now we had the 8 Energy Week, and it attracts more and more visitors. We had its exhibitions, matchmaking, handled by the Enterprise Europe network, and then seminars, thematic seminars, and so on. So it's growing, and speakers and people invite themselves to it now. So we had, I think, a month ago, it's always mid-March, we had 10 ambassadors with companies from their own countries. And we invited the Tunisian National Utility STEG to the Energy Week. And when the managing director left, he said, let's do this in Tunisia. So we had technology days in energy. We call them energy days, but they are energy technology days. In Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, and Arab Emirates. So, in terms of internationalization, and we need good partners. So we normally have worked with the Ministry of Energy in the countries and national utilities, because they are interested in new technologies. And like in Tunisia, they electrify all North Africa. So we invited all the North African utilities to the energy days in Tunisia. Matchmaking, using our cluster network. We have good cluster network in Europe, and the matchmaking events with other clusters are very valuable as a first contact, but it is up to us cluster what we do after that. It's a good, and the cluster training like booster academies and so on, it's a very good venue to exchange good experience with other clusters. So these are tools, but in the end it's up to the cluster to make the most of all the initiatives available and the programs and the mechanisms. There are a lot of them provided by the Commission, for example, like traditionally the low carbon programs and so on, and we heard about the business aid for exports and so on. I had one more, how to promote actual investments. We should, as a cluster, participate in like strategy work with authorities, regional, local, sometimes national, to define the priority actions and investments. I was in charge of making the regional strategy for energy supply, technology development, training, and image and marketing. And we collected 85 stakeholders, basically summarized it and divided them into groups, locked the door, and told them that you won't get out until you have 12 priority projects in energy supply and regional. And once we have these priority projects supported by the major stakeholder, it's very powerful document to make investments, to make changes, basically. Site pre-preparation activities. When private investors decide to invest something, they want to do it at once, preferably today, latest tomorrow. So we need to have a site ready, as well prepared as possible. Sometimes it takes a long time. I was also coordinating the first large-scale offshore wind park study in Finland with screening, mapping of the seafloor, wind measurements, so on. But that was 20 years ago. And now Now, one major actor, the Swedish Vattenfall, plans to invest 1.3 billion in this area. So we need to start to prepare the sites and bring the facts about the sites. We have a Gigavasa project. We have prepared a ground for. We have decided we want a battery factory to Vasa. So that is now going. I have a photo of that. So to support and implement all site development studies, we can do it sometimes as a cluster should not take work from private actors. We should make more work for the private businesses, but sometimes nobody wants to do things, and then we need to do it as a clusters. Staff training, we also need staff, and unfortunately the popularity of science as a study subject is going down, I think, globally. So I'm afraid we are facing a global shortage of engineers. So we are running an all-bats project, trying to connect all the battery stakeholders in Europe and making a training program for people and starting to training. One interesting thing I want to mention was our energy ambassador, also run by private funds. We called it the best summer job in Finland. We collected 100,000 euros from our members and advertised that this is the best summer job in Finland. It was probably the best on the planet, but we were a bit modest, so we said Finland. 3 months work for students during summer, 10,000 euros a month in salary, free hotel, free car, free restaurant, and he spent 1 week with one manager of a company and put all this social media. So we got 1,500 applications, and then I think it's an action to attract attention to science and science object. And I have been told that the Apollo program boosted the interest for science in the US, and I think that was when these young people see men walking on the moon, they think, oh, I want maybe to be involved in this thing. So that is so. Okay, this is from our Energy Week. We had 10 ambassadors, and one of them said that Vasa is the epicenter of the green transition, so we must be here. I think maybe it was a bit diplomatically said, but we like it. And this is the site preparation we had for the battery factory, and this week I think it was Hitachi Energy announced they will build a factory, employ 200 people in this area, and then the biggest battery material producer, Shanshan Battery Materials Technology from Shanghai, they will build their first factory outside Europe there, and they want to. They want to do it tomorrow, and they want to build it twice as big as the area. But pre-site preparations, we can do it as a cluster, and we can contribute to that. So sorry for exceeding my time, I think, a little bit, and thanks for listening. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for this exhaustive presentation. If you can have the last one. Last but actually the cream of all these discussions today, because it is particularly important for the European dimension. We will have Sophie from Belgian cluster Mecatech, working actually on mechanical engineering, and which is as well crucial for having energy transition. And as well representing the Eurocluster Dream. The Eurocluster are something that we think about for the future as well, bringing clusters from Europe together to work. And I think, Sophie, you will tell us exactly what Euroclusters are, because you are practitioners for this. So, Sophie, please.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. And yes, today I'm representing, of course, Pôle Mecatech, which is located in Wallonia. In the advanced manufacturing, we have about 400 members in the southern part of Wallonia, and we are a member of a Dream Euro cluster. So how can European program also involve cluster is in the green and digital transition of the industry? It's the topic of today, so I'll show you a little bit the examples of our Euro cluster, which is in the end of the implementation. It's a 2 years program, DREAM, focused on the digital strand. There are 14 digital strands in the Euro cluster program. And yes, we are 4 clusters, partners in this Euro cluster program, with the support also of a consulting agency specialized in international innovation, GSA Group. Our coordinator is Paul STS in the south of France. And we have also the participation of MESAP, also an advanced manufacturing cluster in Italy, and of Cluj IT clusters in the digital sector in Romania. So we are 2 clusters in the advanced manufacturing and 2 clusters in the digital sector. Yes, and your cluster programs suggest 4 different pillars. So pillars about networking, so supporting companies to network together and to build partnerships, and also to build bridges with other countries and other regions, innovate and adopt about new solutions, training, because training of course is a big challenge in the green and digital transition, and go international, because of course we have to promote also solutions outside Europe, and so to invite companies to look at the other side of the frontiers, the European frontiers. And in digital, in DREAM, we decided to focus on 2 main pillars, innovate and adopt, by offering an open call to SMEs to develop new solutions for in the digital sector applied to the manufacturing companies. And so this is the scope of our program. So this is a partnership between technological digital provider in the IT sector, so AI, big data, IoT, smart manufacturing, robotization, automation, VR, and also about cybersecurity, because of course in those technologies cybersecurity is a big challenge and should be also considered. And the manufacturing sector we targeted in the DREAM program was very large, so we invited all manufacturing sectors to apply for the open call. The objective is to build partnership between, of course, digital providers and end user in the manufacturing sector, to make them to make this manufacturing sector greener, more resilient and more competitive. So the open call happened in the last spring in 2023. This is a mechanism of cascade funding. So we received, as a consortium of clusters, an amount from the EU Commission. We have to give this amount back to the directly to the SMEs, so we can fund with small open calls and small projects, some prototyping and demonstrations among installed in the manufacturing sectors. This is a very interesting mechanism for SMEs, because it is a simple and a simple way to apply first, but also to follow up project, because on the administrative and financial point of view, it's very it's easier than classical, I would say, European program like Horizon Europe, or that are bigger consortiums with bigger amount, of course. Here we speak about amounts about 30k euros. So it's for solutions very close to the market, of course, but the simplified process is very appreciated from the SMEs. And this is also a faster program, so the implementation of the projects is about 9 months maximum, so it's very quick. You receive the money quite fast as well, so it's easier for them to enter such a program than a bigger program. And it's a first step to engage SMEs in European programs. So it's to show the benefits of those programs to companies that are not very common or that are not very involved in such European collaborations. And so this is a first step for them to enter and to view the benefits of the European support. Our open call focus on, of course, digital solutions for the applied manufacturing sector. The objective was to reduce the consumption of resources, to make the production processes more efficient, and to offer growth opportunities for digital providers. We finance 2 types of actions: prototyping or demonstration, directly installed in end-user manufacturers, for instance. And we had some specific conditions to apply. We would like to engage companies in, for instance, international collaboration. So we gave some bonus points to consortium that offered partnerships from 2 different countries. Of course, other consortium were considered, but we gave some bonus points to invite companies to work with foreigners and to find, by this way, a new opportunity to enter a new markets and to develop their strategy outside the borders. And also, we invite companies to work together, so between a digital provider and an end user. And the digital provider should be had to be an SME, and the end user could be an SME or a large group. And we saw that this was also a very good opportunity for SMEs to enter large groups in Europe that would like to test new solutions for the green transition, but that it's a kind of de-risking the technology and the solution, and an easy way for SMEs to convince their partner to work together and to test the first step of a solution. And so here are the main figures of the open call. We have more than 50 SMEs involved in the project implementation today. So the projects are finishing in the end of May. So we are very close to the end. Yesterday we gave a presentation of some results of the projects. So we are very well represented in Europe because 15 different countries are represented in the consortium and in the projects. Yes, the benefits of such a program are numerous, and from the point of view of SMEs, it's the echoes and the feedback we received from them is that it's a very good way to foster partnerships between SMEs, of course, but also between, as I said before, SMEs and large groups in Europe, large private corporations. It also gave some added value to the partnerships and to foster partnerships in Europe among companies. As a clusters, we played the role of catalysts to innovation projects. So we invite companies to develop new solutions and to enter those programs. It gave some visibility at EU level to SMEs and to companies. The support we gave to the implemented project were very well appreciated because we follow the project in the implementation, of course for the open call first and then for the implementation. And we put some KPI about the green transition in the project. So we also follow the KPI about the green transition. They have to put some KPI about reducing waste, reducing resources, reducing the energy consumption and the like. So it's not only about digital technologies, but also digital technologies for the green transition. It's also a good way to invite larger manufacturing sector and not only manufacturers involved in the energy sector, but also in the food sector, in the metal industry, metal works and the like, to have an eye on the energy consumption and on the green transition. Here are two examples of funded projects. The first one is a medtech project in the medical sector. It's not only related about energy, but it's a way of reducing the production of waste to integrate some digital twin and simulation in the manufacturing of prostheses, for instance. It's a collaboration between a small startup, a spin-off in Belgium, and a big group in Iceland. So we see here an innovative collaboration because Belgian companies are more focused on French relationship because it's easier for them to speak with the French-speaking countries, and here it's a way to also to diversify the countries and to test with other partners the possibility to work together. And the other one is an example of how these kind of programs can also support the transition of mechanical engineering that are begin older. So in older manufacturing sectors like Danspin in Latvia, it is old machines, and they put IoT and sensors to be able to develop some program reducing the impact of energy and to measure, of course, the equipment to be able to enter also the green transition, but without changing all the equipment with the new one. So it's also on a more circular design based. And yes, it's two examples of the funded projects we had, but we have 35 projects implemented. So I may invite you to have a look, of course, at the Dream Euro Cluster LinkedIn, because we promoted those programs. As yesterday we had 7 projects that presented their results. And so I invite you to follow us on LinkedIn and on our different cluster website, of course, and of all the partners of Dream. And thank you for inviting me and for this opportunity given to Dream to present the results of a Euro Cluster program.
Thank you, Sophie, very much. We are coming to the end of the sessions. We had a very exhaustive examples of where clusters really play the role. I think it was very concrete. No? It wasn't general. It was practical. Where in Thüringen, in Saxony, in Finland, in Belgium. The Eurocluster project is the project which is actually something that we want to develop further. It's about interregional collaboration among clusters in Europe in order to bring the potential together. We have still 4 or 5 minutes. If you would like to have questions to our audience, it's the time. but you are seems you were very exhausted. But I think very much for your attention, and thanks so very much to the panelists for fantastic presentations. And let's develop renewable energy and green transition. Thank you.